What if a predator from the past never really left? A snake so massive it could crush a crocodile in seconds, so silent you'd never hear it coming. It vanished 55 million years ago. But what if it didn't? What if it evolved into the most powerful predator Earth has ever seen? Let's travel back in time, not thousands, not millions, but 60 million years into Earth's past. The dinosaurs are gone, wiped out in a global catastrophe, but nature, as always, finds a new way to dominate. And in the steaming, swampy jungles of what is now northern South America, a new apex predator emerges. Not with claws, not with fangs, but with muscle and silence. This is where the Titanoboa begins its reign. Discovered in the Cerrejón coal mines of Colombia, this serpent is unlike anything we've ever seen or imagined, stretching up to 15 meters long, nearly 50 feet, and weighing over a ton. Titanoboa was the length of a city bus and thicker than an oil drum. If it slithered toward you today, its body would rise to your waist before wrapping around you like a steel cable. But don't look for venom. Titanoboa didn't need poison. Its power was in pure constrictive force. It would strike with lightning speed, coil around its prey, and squeeze hard until ribs shattered, until air stopped, until whatever it caught stopped moving entirely, and then it would swallow it whole. Its prey? Giant prehistoric fish, thick-shelled turtles the size of kitchen tables, and ancient crocodiles. And it wasn't just big, it was smart. Titanoboa had evolved in an ecosystem of dense jungle and murky waters, where seeing was difficult, but hearing, smell, and movement were everything. Its camouflage was perfect. Blending into the mud and vegetation, it would lie completely still for hours, waiting, watching, listening, until the perfect moment, then silence broken, and nothing survived the encounter. Titanoboa thrived in this post-dinosaur world, filling the void left by giant reptiles. It ruled the waterways for nearly 10 million years, a relic of a warmer, wetter Earth, one that no longer exists. But something was coming, something that would change the climate, the balance of life, and possibly the future of Titanoboa itself. For nearly 10 million years, Titanoboa was untouchable. No predator could match its strength. No creature dared to challenge its throne. So what took it down? Not a rival, not disease, not even extinction in the usual sense. It was climate, the silent killer. Roughly 56 million years ago, Earth changed drastically. The planet entered what scientists call the Paleocene-Eocene thermal maximum, or PETM. It was one of the most extreme global warming events in Earth's history. Temperatures surged by up to 8 degrees Celsius, 14 degrees Fahrenheit. Massive amounts of carbon dioxide flooded the atmosphere. The oceans turned acidic. Deep sea life began to vanish. The tropical seas, once rich with prey, became overheated death zones. At first glance, you might think a hotter world would be perfect for Titanoboa. After all, it was cold-blooded. It depended on environmental heat to fuel its metabolism. But this heat spike came too fast, too intense, even for Titanoboa. Its watery hunting grounds turned toxic. Fish populations collapsed. Some of its prey vanished completely. Acidification began to rot the base of the food chain. Titanoboa faced a terrifying dilemma: adapt or starve, and adaptation wouldn't be easy. It would no longer rely on just warm waters. Its size, once a strength, now became a weakness. Larger animals require more energy, and with fewer prey, that meant trouble. Some paleontologists speculate that Titanoboa may have begun venturing onto land, chasing new prey: mammals, boars, tiny prehistoric horses, goats, even primitive camels. But there was a problem. Its massive bulk wasn't made for running or long pursuits. The jungle floor wasn't the same as water. There was resistance, friction, effort. Even if it could survive the heat, even if it found new prey, Titanoboa was racing against time. And then, the climate shifted again. Around 50 million years ago, the Earth began to cool, slowly, steadily, permanently. The lush rainforest of the poles disappeared. Forests receded, temperatures dropped. And for a cold-blooded reptile the size of a shipping container, this was a death sentence. Or was it? Because extinction isn't always the end. Sometimes it's just the beginning of something else. So, Titanoboa disappears. Or so we think. But let's challenge that idea. What if Titanoboa didn't go extinct? What if it evolved? Sounds impossible? Nature has done stranger things. Let's start with the problem. Titanoboa was cold-blooded. It relied on the sun and its warm environment to survive. When the planet cooled, it couldn't generate internal heat. And without heat, it couldn't hunt, digest, or even move properly. Now imagine this. What if evolution gave Titanoboa a second chance by transforming it into something no snake has ever become? Warm-blooded. You might be thinking, that breaks the rules. And you'd be right. Almost. But deep in the ocean, there are fish that bend those rules. The opah, bluefin tuna, and great white sharks. Cold-blooded by classification, yet capable of warming parts of their body. How? Through something called counter-current heat exchange. Here's how it works. The muscles they use to swim generate heat. Veins and arteries sit close together. As warm blood flows through the veins, it passes heat to colder arterial blood. This creates a loop, a thermal engine, enough to raise their internal temperature by several degrees. Now apply that concept to Titanoboa. It already had massive muscles, thick coils packed with power. What if evolution gave it the ability to trap heat generated from movement? What if its blood vessels rearranged, not by design, but by pressure, survival, mutation? Suddenly, Titanoboa is no longer at the mercy of the climate. It swims through cooler waters, hunts with relentless energy, and grows beyond anything we've ever seen. This isn't just a snake anymore. It's a super predator, engineered by nature, shaped by extinction, reborn by adaptation. Its body becomes a perfect balance of brute strength and thermal efficiency, no longer needing to bask in the sun, no longer bound to the tropics. And with this new biology, a terrifying question emerges. Where would it go next? Now, imagine this. The Earth is warming again. The poles are no longer frozen wastelands, but humid and lush. Forests creep back to the Arctic. The oceans near the poles are teeming with life. Reptiles, fish, even massive crocodiles. And something else, something new. The Sea Titanoboa. This is no ordinary snake. This is Titanoboa evolved, re-engineered by millions of years of survival. Now warm-blooded, now faster, now far more dangerous. Its body is longer, stretching up to 23 meters, the length of a Boeing 737 wing. Its muscles are streamlined for aquatic propulsion, not slow slithering. It glides through the water with terrifying grace, completely silent. And because of its internal heat system, it doesn't need to stay in the shallows. It dives deep. It hunts where no other reptile dares to go. Its thermal loop keeps it warm in near-freezing waters. But here's what makes it truly terrifying. You wouldn't see it coming. In the kelp forests near the poles, where sunlight barely reaches, it waits. Hidden, camouflaged, watching. A whale calf passes overhead. Too big. A seal? Not worth the effort. Then, a crocodile, 6 meters long, moving slowly. In a fraction of a second, the Sea Titanoboa strikes. Coils wrap, ribs break. The hunt ends, before it begins. This new Titanoboa doesn't constrict like its ancestor. It crushes and swallows entire predators that were once feared in their own time. Its eyes have adapted too, larger, with retinas built for darkness. Its lungs hold air for over an hour. It swims for miles without surfacing. Imagine a team of marine scientists exploring the deep Arctic shelf. Their sonar picks up something moving, too big to be a shark, too fast to be a whale. And then the cameras go black. Was it equipment failure? Or something brushing against the submersible? No one knows. But the audio? You can hear something slithering. The Sea Titanoboa is not a monster from fiction. It's a speculative answer to a terrifying question. What happens when nature isn't finished with its apex predators? But evolution doesn't follow just one path. While one Titanoboa returned to the ocean, another stayed on land. In a world where the tropics dried out, where lush jungles turned into sand and scrub, where heat scorched the earth and water became rare, nature sculpted a new beast, the desert Titanoboa. It isn't as long as its oceanic cousin, but what it lacks in size, it makes up for in stealth and brutality. Gone is the dark, swampy camouflage. In its place, skin the color of pale sand, matte, dusty, almost indistinguishable from the desert floor. But it doesn't move in the day. It waits, buried beneath the surface, coiled in silence. Its body has evolved to burrow, its muscles pushing through dry soil like a living auger. By nightfall, it emerges. The temperature drops, the desert cools, and the hunt begins. Camels grazing under the moonlight feel the vibration before the strike, a rumble in the ground, a shadow where there should be none. Then, nothing. Desert Titanoboa doesn't chase, it ambushes. It knows how to read the desert like a book: pressure, heat, motion. Its tongue flicks the air, collecting molecules of fear. But this adaptation goes even deeper. Its skin has changed, inspired by creatures like the spadefoot toad. It secretes a waxy, semi-permeable layer that locks in moisture. It can go weeks, months without water. Its metabolism slows like a crocodile's, entering a kind of waking hibernation between meals. And what does it eat? Small desert mammals are no match. It waits for herds, camels, goats, large prey. One strike, one kill, then another month in hiding. This isn't a monster, it's a survivor, built by heat, forged in sand, unseen, untouched, unchallenged. Now imagine a nomadic tribe crossing the Sahara. Their camels stop, ears perk up. They sense something wrong. A soft hiss, a sudden collapse of sand, and then silence. Only a ripple remains where the ground once stood still. The desert Titanoboa is myth incarnate, a sand-dwelling ghost from a time before history. But if it evolved this far, into two apex forms on land and in sea, what would happen when they finally encounter their greatest rival, us? If the Titanoboa had survived, evolved, and reached the modern age, eventually it would have met us. And what would that look like? Long before satellites, sonar, or rifles, early humans lived in awe of nature and in fear of what lurked beneath it. Coastal tribes might have told stories of sea monsters, beasts longer than boats, moving silently through the fog. Desert nomads would have passed down legends of serpents that moved beneath the sand, invisible until it was too late. We would have feared rivers, feared the open ocean, feared walking alone at night. And perhaps we would have been right to. But humans adapt too. We build weapons, we strategize, we document. As we evolved, so would our relationship with the Titanoboa. At first, it would be pure terror, but over time, we'd start to fight back. Harpoons, traps, fire. Would we try to kill it? Or study it? Or worse, eat it? Imagine a civilization where Titanoboa meat becomes a delicacy, or its skin a symbol of power. Imagine tribes that believe consuming it brings strength. Imagine black markets trafficking Titanoboa organs for healing properties. And yet, despite our tools, our science, our progress, we wouldn't be safe. Not in the deep sea, not in the open desert, not in a world that keeps warming. Because climate is shifting again. The ice is melting, rainforests are shrinking, sea levels are rising, and the environment that once gave birth to the Titanoboa is coming back. But this time, the creature is no longer bound by heat. It's evolved to survive cold. It can live anywhere, hunt anything, disappear at will. And with fish populations collapsing, ecosystems destabilizing, there's only one abundant species left on the menu: us. Imagine a flooded city, streets turned to canals, a rescue team paddles through murky waters, something moves below, fast, silent. One moment you're scanning rooftops, the next your boat flips, and you're gone. No warning, no evidence, no second chance. We are not as untouchable as we think, because if the Titanoboa truly evolved, we might not be predators anymore. We might just be prey. Maybe Titanoboa didn't survive. Maybe it's just a fossil, buried in stone, studied in silence. But evolution doesn't forget. It learns, it adapts, it waits. And when the conditions return, so do the monsters. Because extinction isn't always permanent. Sometimes it's just a pause, a breath, before something bigger comes back. We think we've conquered the Earth. We think we're safe. But life, real life, doesn't follow our rules. So the next time the oceans rise, the deserts shift, or the world gets just a little too hot, ask yourself, what else is out there waiting to reawaken? And if that question keeps you up tonight, good, because in the next video you'll discover something even more unsettling, but only if you're ready. I'll see you there.